Hello and a very warm welcome to you all. I'm Neha Bhartaj-Orta. Finally, the Asia Cup squad has been announced. The 17-man squad was announced by the chairman of Selectors, Ajit Agarkar, in Delhi today. And it includes Rahul, Shreyas Iyer and rookie Tilak Varma. There's no place for Yuzvendra Chahal, while Jasprit Bumrah and Prasidh Krishna have proved their match fitness in the T20Is, the two T20Is that they played in Ireland, and they are part of the squad. So, how balanced is this squad? Are there any names missing that should have been there? Does this squad solve most of India's big problems like number 4 and that long tail with Kuldeep Yadav at 8? We'll put those questions to Vedam Jaishankar, who joins us here on the show. We'd also put those questions to Jamie Orter. Gentlemen, I'll come to you in just a bit, but first, let's hear from Chief Selector Ajit Agarkar on the 17-man squad.
Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill, Virat Kohli, Shreyas Iyer, Surya Kumar Yadav, Tilak Varma, Rahul, Ishan Kishan, Hardik Pandya as the vice captain, Ravindra Jadeja, Shardul Thakur, Akshar Patel, Kuldeep Yadav, Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Shami, Mohammad Siraj, and Prasidh Krishna. And Sanju Samson will be the backup travelling player. The 17-man squad. I mean, it's really a no-brainer. We picked these 18 guys, so it'll be in and around those guys. There's few important guys who are coming back from injury. Hopefully, all goes well with them. They've got a few games now, in the Asia Cup. So yeah, it'll be close between these guys. But fortunately, we have some more time. 5th is the deadline, and we'll get to look at the players. There's a short camp followed by a couple of games before we announce the actual squad. But yeah, it'll obviously be around these guys only. It's but obvious.
Okay, so there is that 17-man squad. We're going to put that up on the screens for you as well to just take a look at who are the players who've made it. Yes, the big names, Rahul and Shreyas Iyer, their fitness had been a concern. Everybody was wondering whether they'd be fit enough to be part of this squad. So they've made it to the squad. The other big point is of Yuzvendra Chahal missing out of the squad. Should he have been there? That's one question that we're going to put to Vedam and to Jamie. Prasidh Krishna and Jasprit Bumrah, like we knew, they only had to prove their fitness and they'd be in because of what they bring to the table. So yes, they are very much there. Surya Kumar Yadav's there, and of course there's also a travelling reserve that Jasprit Bumrah was that Ajit Agarkar was talking about, which is Sanju Samson in the squad. So we're going to take reactions from both our experts on this. Tilak Varma has also made it to the squad. He has still not made his ODI debut, but he finds himself in the Asia Cup squad. Okay, then let's put the question to Vedam first. Vedam, how balanced do you think this squad is?
So there is, firstly, there's no problem at all with the team because you understand that all these players that they have chosen are people who have proved themselves at various points of time. But the only problem that I really have is how many of them are competitively fit. Match fit is okay, practice nets fit is okay, but competitively fit, you need to play a lot of matches to be in that rhythm. I think there are too many people who are not in that match rhythm as set, and that includes Prasidh Krishna and Jasprit Bumrah. They've just been bowling 1 over each or 2 over each, and it's not a spell that they have bowled, 5 over, 6 over spell. That's not what they have done. So I don't know how competitively fit they are. The same goes for Rahul and Shreyas Iyer. And I also have my own doubts about Hardik Pandya being made the vice captain. Because if Hardik Pandya is not going to bowl, then I don't think he fits in as a pure batsman. Okay. Especially over others like Shreyas Iyer, Rahul and the others. So if Hardik is bowling, fair enough. If he is not bowling, then I don't think he should be the vice captain at all. because somebody else should have been the vice captain. Chahal, you mentioned Chahal, but I think Chahal has played out his time. People understand his bag of tricks now, that he bowls wide outs at the awesome every now and then. He bowls at straight over, and I think they've sorted him out very well. It's good that Kuldeep Yadav has come back because he's a wrist spinner to start with, and he bowls at the right pace now. Earlier he was bowling much slower, but I think after that battering he got at the hands of Maxwell, he's gone back to the drawing board, reworked his strategy. He bowls at a much quicker pace, and that's really helped him. And he looks a lot more confident now. So I think Kuldeep Yadav is an excellent choice. But I think this 17-member squad is basically to cover up for injuries, which is not very, very convincing to me.
Okay. Now, Jamie, the one good thing is that at least we got a press conference for starters. You have a press conference, at least you're being able to ask questions to Rohit Sharma and to Ajit Agarkar. So that's one good thing. The other being that, they have gone in with this 17-man squad, which is basically what we were all expecting, right? This was along expected lines. But having said that, do you believe, like Vedam was saying, that some of these players coming back from injury, are they match ready to go straight into playing against Pakistan on 2nd of September?
Yeah, look, I think this is something that we all shouldn't be surprised about. Just because they've ticked all the required boxes, which allow you to leave the NCA and get recalled, it does not mean they're going to come back and start scoring 35, 40, 50 runs very, very fluently. Because we all know, I mean, look, let's look at it man to man. KL Rahul is coming off an ACL tear. These things take time. Shreyas Iyer's got a back injury, right? So just because they're able to go through certain drills under the guidance and the expertise eye of various people, it does not mean they can walk back and play international cricket. This is why I appeal to all Indian cricket fans who were probably expecting too much. We have to keep the expectations very, very basic. If Shreyas Iyer can operate at 75 to 80% of what is called match fitness, match awareness, then I think we're on the right track. Do I see them both playing the first match against Pakistan? Especially given Ajit Agarkar's comments that KL Rahul was fit, but now a recent niggle is cropped up. This, to my mind, is just flashing red light. And it goes back to what I've been saying since we found out about his injury back in April, May. You should not expect him to come back and be your World Cup wicketkeeper. By all means, I see KL Rahul playing the majority of the Asia Cup and the World Cup in that very vital number 5 spot, where frankly his numbers are very, very good. But to expect him to come back, and like Vedam mentioned, this whole being match fitness, it applies to a batsman. Does it apply so easily to a batsman keeper? Absolutely not. Which is why we get the fact that Sanju Samson is number 18. And Sanju Samson being there should actually surprise no one, because Ishan Kishan, for some factors in his control, some factors in the team's control, has not been able to nail down a spot in the one-day team. That's why he's now your number 1 keeper. But that recent niggle, which is cropped up, how it's cropped up, who knows? We don't have details. I don't expect details to be divulged anytime soon. But it's because there are still doubts over KL Rahul that Sanju Samson is there. Otherwise, I'm on the same page as Vedam. This was probably, barring one player, probably as good an Asia Cup squad as you could have picked. I understand why Tilak Varma has been drafted in. It's the same. I wouldn't say, well, yes, I would say fitness concerns, because if Iyer and Rahul are not 100% match fit, then you still do need a second option or a plan B when it comes to number 4. And that's why I believe Tilak Varma has been given the chance, albeit after a rather small sample size in T20s.
Okay, now Jamie was referring to what Ajit Agarkar said about KL Rahul's injury. Let's put that bite up of Ajit Agarkar, where he's talking about KL Rahul's and Shreyas Iyer's fitness. Remember, these two players are key to India's plans, be it the Asia Cup or the World Cup. So this is what Ajit Agarkar had to say about their fitness, and we'll come back to our guests.
Shreyas is been declared completely fit. I think Rahul ka last kuch dinon mein, not his original injury, but there is a niggle that unko hai. That's why Sanju is at the moment traveling. But the physios, I'm sure you all will get a report at some stage. He's expected to. We are all expecting him to be fit. If not at the start of the Asia Cup, maybe the second or third game. That's at the moment the diagnosis. But he he's now well on track. But Shreyas has been past fit, which is good news. Two important players for us, yeah. And we still don't pick the team. हम लोग 5 तारीख तक World Cup की team pick नहीं करनी, so gives us more time.
Now, the one good thing was that we did get some bit of humor from Ajit Agarakar during that press conference. If you watch that press conference, you'll see that there were some smart, funny statements from him. But what this statement does, Vedam, and Chetan Narula also joins us on the show, it confuses me a bit. I don't know if it confuses you guys, but it does, because now as soon as they say that KL Rahul has a niggle, which means, and Ajit Agarakar goes on to say that he may not play the first 2 or 3 games, which means that you need that number 5 batter. Who is going to be that number 4, number 5 middle order batter in place of KL Rahul in the first 2 matches? Is it going to be Ishan Kishan? Are you going to bring him down? Or are you going to draft in your travelling reserve, as they were suggesting, where he said that, Sanju Samson's come in because of that, and make him play there? That's the other big question. Vedam, what do you think of that? And then I'll come to Chetan as well.
See, I think what Agarakar and his team have tried to do is they have tried to put a lot of match winners, batting match winners on the playing field. And I think that's where KL Rahul is coming from. Because especially between the 11th and 40th over, you need somebody who can continue batting. It's not like T20, you just go and throw your bat around and then hope for the best. So I think that's what they're trying to do, either with Kohli or with Rohit Sharma, with KL Rahul. So you need these long distance guys. At the same time, Shreyas Iyer too comes in that bracket. And at the same time, you have people who can throw their bat around, like maybe Gill and maybe even Surya Kumar Yadav. So I think there's a combination of both. And you can see when you think like that, you need a KL Rahul there. You're willing to take a chance. But my only objection with this team is you're taking a chance with too many people. You can take a chance with one person, but there are so many people who are really not competitive fit. They may be very fit for the nets, but they're not competitively fit. And that's a worrying aspect. You're expecting them to play and then get fit as the tournament progresses. But you're opening straight away with a big match against Pakistan. It's not like you're playing Nepal or somebody else, and working yourself into some sort of form and rhythm. You're straight away getting. So you have to hit the ground running from the first ball. And are we there? I don't know. At least maybe with this Ireland matches, some of them who are part of that squad could be okay. But for the vast majority of the players, I don't know. I don't think they're ready to hit the bootstrap running.
Okay, yeah, that's a valid point, a fair point. Are we throwing some of these players, in fact 4 of them returning from injury, into the deep end, which is the other question? But Chetan, in case KL Rahul, as Agarakar was referring to, does not make it to the first 2 games, then are you going to bring Ishan Kishan down at number 4 or 5, or are you going to get Sanju Samson into that squad?
Well, hello, Meha. Something funny happened today. As soon as the team was announced, I was tweeting, hopefully Shreyas Iyer and KL Rahul are 100% fit or near 100% fit, as you, I, and Jamie have discussed so many times on the show. And by the time I finished the tweet, Ajit Agarakar announced that KL Rahul has a bit of a niggle. It was funny because, the Indian team can't really catch a break. KL Rahul can't really catch a break. The guy comes close to full fitness and then he's carrying a niggle, probably will not play the first 2-3 games. And even having said that, Rohit Sharma was, not very clear who's going to bat in the middle, what's going to happen, will Ishan Kishan drop down? And then he went around in the whole circle about, players needing to bat at different positions. So it could be anybody, like he said. Ideally, it has to be Ishan Kishan because he's your number 1 wicketkeeper. If KL Rahul is not in the playing 11, then Ishan Kishan is your number 1 keeper. Sanju Samson is just a travelling backup. I mean, he doesn't really come into the first choice playing 11. And obviously, KL Rahul is very near to fitness. But does Ishan Kishan open? Shubman Gill drops down to number 4. That's a mystery, I think, which will be solved on the day of the game. India versus Pakistan, the first game.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Kishan plays and Tilak Varma gets to debut because that's the only time you're going to debut him. That's the only opportunity you can really give him, because once both Rahul and Iyer are fully fit, fully match fit,
Whoa.
not just physically fit,
Yeah.
you will want to play them in as many games as possible. So still up in the air, as
Did
I
you-
completely agree with Vidham.
Did you
Yeah,
just
because
say that Tilak Varma should debut in the India-Pakistan match in Asia Cup?
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. The first two
Okay.
games he has to play. He has to play. Otherwise, how are you going to know? How are you going to know what he can really do? I mean, you can't play him in the later games when both Iyer and Rahul are fit. So the first two games, give him a run, just test against Pakistan in a high pressure situation. You'll get to know whether he's fit enough to go to the World Cup even as a backup. So that's the only time you can play Tilak Varma in that particular tournament.
Okay, but a lot of people might just say that, you know what, they're really rushing Tilak Varma into ODIs. I mean, he's not played a single ODI. You're going to debut him in India, Pakistan. That's a bit much. I mean, till a month back, 2 months back, no one was even talking about Tilak Varma being anywhere around the Asia Cup or the World Cup. And suddenly you're talking about World Cup. So this is what the Ajit Agarakar had to say about Tilak Varma when he was asked this question as to why Tilak Varma has been included in this, given that he's not even yet played an ODI. This is what he had to say.
We've got the luxury of picking 17 right now. So fortunately, we could give him, we saw some real promise. We've obviously known the potential in the West Indies. We saw some real promise in terms of not just performances, but the temperament. And it gives us an opportunity to take him with the team, give him, like you said, some more exposure. Left-hander again, and looks very promising. So fortunately, we can take 17 here. It'll be 15 in the World Cup. So when the time comes, we'll probably make that decision. But at the moment, it at least gives us an opportunity, gives the coach and the captain an opportunity to have him with the squad.
It's one thing selecting Tilak Varma, Jamie, but like Chetan was suggesting, do you see him getting a game here and in the Asia Cup?
Look, if you picked him, right, it's actually been less than 3 weeks since he made his T20I debut. So it's actually not even been even a month since this talk has started.
Yeah.
This talk started the day he got his 50 in that second T20I, right? He got that 39, all well and good, but it's less than 3 weeks since the buzz started on social media and in certain studios. By studios, I mean people doing commentary, that Tilak Varma should be in. So if you look at it from that aspect, by all means, it does seem very, very premature. But again, like we've discussed, not just on today's show, but in the past several shows, it's because of doubts over players. Until this afternoon, 1:30, 1:45, there were players who we assumed would come back. Now they've come back, but they're still not, as we were discussing, perhaps not match fit, especially KL Rahul, right? So given the uncertainty over Suryakumar Yadav's longevity at number 6, given the same old topic of Sanju Samson not holding down his spot, having even considered certain stats like Ishan Kishan's stats in the middle order, there's enough uncertainty even after the squad has been named for someone like Tilak Varma to be considered. So yes, it seems outlandish to assume that someone who's not even 3 weeks old at this level is now debuting in the cauldron of an India-Pakistan match, but such are the situation. And you go back 20 odd years, Yuvraj Singh was also 19-20 when he was thrown in during the Champions Trophy, which that time was still a very, very big tournament. And we all know what he did. So extreme measures, extreme situations call for such extreme calls, and yes, it might surprise many. I still feel it's the wrong decision to put him in, but like discussed on many shows, if you want to look at trying someone else, or maybe, I mean, we've floated the option of having Virat Kohli come down at number 4. Against all of that, I frankly see no other option if certain players are not fit than going with Tilak Varma. If you have to put him in your World Cup squad, no point naming him in the Asia Cup squad and not giving him a match, because in a perfect world he wouldn't be here, right? Iyer is fit, Rahul's fit, Pandya's fit, or in form, your 4, 5, 6 are sorted. It's because of all these doubts that Tilak Varma has gotten a chance. Picked him, play him, see what he's got.
Okay, Vedam, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, see, I've been talking about Tilak Varma and Jaiswal on your own show for more than 2 months. See, my point of view on this is very clear, because all the other Indian players, I think, are overexposed. Bowlers know what to bowl to them, where to bowl to them. Some of these newcomers, they can be your surprise package. There's not enough homework done on them. There's not enough data on them. And when you look at Tilak Varma as a selector, what do you think? Because a selector's job is not to go by scorecard and statistics, etc., etc. He should also visualize what a player could become. And every time Tilak Varma walks into bat, he gives you the reassuring feeling that he knows what he is doing. The temperament looks good. The technique looks good. The reach looks good. There's no sign of nervousness. So I think both he and Jaiswal is not in this team, but I think these are two excellent youngsters, and we should give them as much chances as possible. Otherwise, virtually like Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma, opponents know where not to bowl to them. And there's so much of exposure for them, and they've played so much, they've been exposed so much, and there's so much of data on them. Today it's all about analytics and the way they handle. The bowlers are also ready for these guys. The fielders are ready. So when you throw in a package like Tilak Varma, you never know. I mean, you could turn around and say you're taking a chance, but yes, these are chances that a selector should take. And when it comes off, that's a great selection.
Okay, now Rohit Sharma once again made a point about how batters need to be flexible. When he was asked this question today in the press conference, he said this before. We've discussed this on the show, but he said every batter playing for the Indian team needs to be flexible. And in detail, this is what he had to say, which also, I'll put that question to our experts. Does that mean playing Akshar at number 4? Is that flexibility? Is that the kind of flexibility that he's talking about? He's answered that. Listen in.
We had a deep discussion about an off spinner and about a leg spinner as well. Now, where the things actually boils down to is that batting option at number 8 and 9. We wanted somebody who can bat at 8 and 9. And Akshar being Akshar, he's had a good run in this year, batted well in white ball cricket, didn't get much opportunity in red ball, but he played really well in white ball cricket, especially IPL and things like that. He had few opportunities in West Indies, couldn't make it that big because he bats at the very back end of it. But with him being there, it allows us that option of firstly having a left-hander and somebody who we want to use up the order and go and play the spinners. He can as well, Ashwin and Washi as well, both of them. But right now, like you saw, Chahal has to miss out because we couldn't get him in because we can only get 17 players there, and the only way we could do that was missing one of the seamers, taking one of the seamers out, and we cannot really do that. Seamers are going to play a big role in this next 2 months, considering the amount of games that is going to happen. And some of them are coming back after a long time, so we wanted to have a good look at them. So we wanted to get them in and see what they have to offer. Got guys who can bat at number 4. It's not about number 4. It's about top 3, and then there onwards 4, 5, 6, 7 to get the job done. It's not just one position who can win us the game or win us the tournament. I think it's about the entire unit, batting unit coming together and getting the job done. There have been challenges, guys have been put under pressure and things like that, which is a good thing. But unfortunately, we've had few injuries along the line, so we had to try and see the other players in that position, try and rotate. There were a lot of players who missed out because of workload management and stuff like that. So we had to get someone else, and at the same time try and see what combination suits you. We tried Akshar at number 4, being a left-hander, go and play freely, things like that. So we've tried stuff, and once we get into the World Cup, we want to be rest assured that this is what we want to do. We've got 6 and 3, 9 ODIs, I guess, before we play our first game, plus the two practice games as well. So there's a lot of games that we have that we can give these guys to go and bat and make that position their own.
Now this is similar to what he had said earlier in the West Indies tour, Jamie, which was about how your batters need to be flexible. I don't know whether that is something that works as well in ODIs, especially when you're figuring out your batting order in Asia Cup, so that you have a good, you know exactly what your role is for the World Cup. So, do you see that being a problem here? Because it's one thing that, okay, if somebody gets injured, you've got to be flexible, come down the order, maybe able to bat even if you're an opener. But to not have a fixed batting order in ODI is not the same as not having that in T20Is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, just to add on what Rohit Sharma said, like we discussed many times in the last few weeks, you don't necessarily take whatever he says at 100% face value, right? I think Ajit Agarkar, I mean, of course, we all know as journalists, it's been so long since we got to see any such press conference. I think Ajit Agarkar had done a pretty decent job in answering that question, but immediately, like unprovoked, Rohit Sharma says, "मैं आपको ठीक से समझाता हूँ." So I sort of knew the moment he started that reply with that, where this was going to be. And it bordered on, there was some banal stuff said in that, because he kept going back to कि मैं जब आया था तो मैं number 7 था. Those were very, very different situations, right? Right now, cricket has become so specialized. Of course, you need to be flexible. But I think the term flexible, we can all agree that since Rahul Dravid and Rohit Sharma teamed up, the word flexible has basically gone out the window. It's basically a term to be used whenever they do something and it's a blunder, it doesn't work out. And you can even tell the way that the tone that Rohit Sharma took, almost like, हाँ, तुम लोग ये सवाल पूछोगे, मैं आपको बताऊंगा. So I would not read into it. I still believe, like we talked about for months now, this team has enough problems to sort of keep expectations very, very minimal in regards to the Asia Cup. Rohit Sharma, Hardik Pandya, Rahul Dravid, their selections off the field on match day have left enough of us scratching our heads wondering what is going on. Again, when Rohit Sharma says that certain people have to bat at a certain place, but 4, 5, 6, yes, you can argue that 4, 5, 6 does require a degree of flexibility, but that does not mean, like they've been doing, that you keep on blundering with batting Suryakumar Yadav in the wrong place. Number 6 is his best place, but he's opened, he's batted 3, he's batted 4, he's batted 5. So I wouldn't take that comment from Rohit Sharma all too seriously. I think it's maybe acceptance on a very flimsy level that we still have problems in this batting lineup.
Okay, I'm going to let Jamie go, but Chetan and Vedam are here with us. The other thing that he was addressing, gentlemen, was off spinner. Why they don't have an off spinner and whether they need an off spinner. So let me go across to Chetan and then I'll come to Vedam on that. Ravichandran Ashwin or any other off spinner? Should India have gone in with an off spinner? I'll also ask you whether Yuzvendra Chahal should have been there. But first, let's start with an off spinner. Chetan?
Well, definitely, I would have liked to have an off spinner in that squad, or to mention even in the World Cup squad. And that is something that Rohit Sharma and Ajit Agarkar did touch upon. But ultimately, they went with the argument that the spinners that they have, especially Ravindra Jadeja and Akshar Patel, that they can bat. They're better fielders in terms of, comparing with Chahal, especially Chahal, when it comes to comparing fielding and batting. Ashwin, yes, he's a good batsman, decent batsman. But again, in terms of, athletic ability and fielding, probably loses some marks over there. It's a sound argument, but then you also have somebody like Washington Sundar, because he's fit enough to be going to Ireland. He's fit enough to be going to the Asian Games. So probably I think he should have been in contention. But again, he's not played a run of games leading up to this particular moment. So I can understand where the team is coming from. I definitely would have preferred an off spinner in that squad, but this is what the team has been doing and you can't really complain. I mean, would they want to play Jadeja and Akshar Patel in the same playing 11? That remains to be seen. And if that is not possible, would they bring in Kuldeep Yadav? What does he bring in terms of the batting ability or the fielding ability that they talked about? That is a big question mark for me as well. As concerns the question, Chahal or Kuldeep, we've discussed this so many times. I think Rohit Sharma prefers Kuldeep Yadav, so that pretty much seals the deal in his favor.
Yeah, which is the other thing that people are asking now after they've seen the squad, Vedam, is no off spinner, and why is there no Yuzvendra Chahal? Will India miss Yuzvendra Chahal?
See, again, whether you're batting or bowling, the most important overs really in these ODIs are between over number 11 and over number 40. Now, what happens then is you have only 4 fielders in the out. There are 5 fielders within the circle. Now, if you have an off spinner who is really not a big wicket taker, because what they really need to do is keep placing. If you get 8 runs and over without taking too many risks, you have about 240 runs at that stage. So what happens is a leg spinner or a wrist spinner actually forces the batsman to go after him, and that's the time when you can get wickets. There was a time when Chahal and Kuldeep were doing their job and doing it brilliantly. They were picking up wickets in those middle overs and running through opposition because of that. Because you can disrupt an innings when you bowl at that time. Now, I think, like Chetan said, the onus is actually more on bowlers who can bat, and which is why you find Akshar Patel, Jadeja, who are also finger spinners. They're not wrist spinners, but they can bat and they can field. So with Shardul Thakur, he's not your first choice medium pacer. But again, when you look at what Rohit Sharma said, he says he wants batsmen at 6, 7, and 8. And I think he also mentioned 9. So we definitely don't have that kind of batsman who can bat at 9 and 10. So certainly, I think they're looking for all-rounders. I won't say bits and pieces cricketers, but people who can bat and people who can bowl. And that's where Jadeja and Akshar Patel actually come in. And if the wicket is cracking, which is good for an off spinner, if the wicket is cracking, the same job can be done by Jadeja and an Akshar Patel. Otherwise, you need Kuldeep Yadav as your wicket taker in those middle overs, and somebody else, others at the other end, maybe doing a holding job.
Yeah, but then when I look at this squad, Chetan, the one thing is that that there is that problem at number 8 of Kuldeep Yadav coming at number 8, right? I mean, if you look at what is going to be the likely playing 11, in the way the squad is, that you will have Jadeja at 7, and then you'll want to get Kuldeep Yadav unless you plan to play Akshar Patel instead of Kuldeep Yadav at number 8. So that problem of having a long tail, which is a problem in the West Indies, will be there if you look at the squad.
Well, that is why Shardul Thakur is there in the squad, Meha, because from my understanding, I mean, they would want to elongate that batting line, which is why this particular selection has been made. Shardul Thakur probably comes into the playing 11, especially if it's a kind of a two-pace track where he can use his off-cutters, etc. And then he bats at 8. And that's the thing. Then you pick Kuldeep Yadav, but then you also pick a pacer less, because then Hardik Pandey and Shardul Thakur double up as your third pacer. So they could give you 10 to 12 overs between the two of them. So that could be a line of thinking. It just depends on what sort of conditions would be available in Sri Lanka. You can probably expect conditions on the slower side, but this is something that they will trial at some stage during the Asia Cup, because I particularly feel that Shardul Thakur is a contender for the World Cup spot. So they might want to drop an extra batsman, but they would want to fit in Shardul Thakur, the pace all-rounder, rather than take a complete out-and-out fourth pacer in the World Cup squad. So at some point during the Asia Cup, we will see Shardul Thakur and Hardik Pandey double up as the third pacer.
Okay, now this is what they also had to say. This is Rohit Sharma and Ajit Agarakar at the press conference talking about their openers. This question was asked to them about Shikhar Dhawan as an opener, as an option, and whether they considered his name at all. This is what Ajit Agarakar had to say.
I mean, at the moment, we've just spoken about 3 openers here. Rohit is not a bad player. Shubman's, had a phenomenal year and a half, 2 years. Ishan Kishan's, Shikhar's been a terrific player for India. We know his record. We know what he's done. I think since December, I don't think he's been, was his last thing. So, look, he's been a terrific player. But at the moment, there are 3 guys who are doing really well. So, you can only fit 15 in a team. So, unfortunately, sometimes somebody has to miss out. So, these 3 guys have been prolific for India. So, at the moment, these are our preferred openers.
What will be interesting is when India would have to choose just 15 for the World Cup, because then who goes out of this squad? 18 is still luxury here, Vedam, in the way we see this. Who do you think out of this squad will be left out if you were to select a World Cup squad today?
That's a tough question. Especially, I want to know who will be left out when you select the 11. Forget about the 15 or 17.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. The way it looks, I think they're going to play it by the ear, see the pitch, see the opponent, and then decide who's going to be the playing 11. Because if you they're asking questions about Shikhar Dhawan. I would have thought he's nowhere in the picture. Questions that we asked, they should have asked about Jaiswal, not because he's already there and playing, and not Shikhar Dhawan. So I don't know what sort of questions they were asking and why they were asking those kind of questions. But if you really look at it, this is the core of your World Cup team. And I think the 17 is there so to eliminate people. I'm not sure whom they can bring in from outside, but I think they just need to eliminate a couple of players. Would you take a chance with an absolute fresher for the World Cup? I very much doubt. So whoever has been tried would have been tried against this Ireland and now maybe against in this Asia Cup. And that's where the core has to form. It's up to the players to grab these chances. They've given them enough chances. It's up to them to grab the chances and make their claim. I'm not so sure about Ashwin making his way to the World Cup because his fielding, frankly, is not up to it. Washington Sundar, if he was absolutely competitively fit, he might have been ready, but I'm not sure he's competitively fit. We'll have to see how he plays the next game. He too is coming out of an injury after a long layoff. And so I'm not sure about him. And how many chances will you take? How many players will you take a chance on? Already, I think you're taking a chance on one too many players. And now I think in this present squad, 4 or 5 of them are coming out of an injury. And if Hardik Pandya is not bowling, that's worse because he has to be there as an all-rounder. He can't be there as a batsman. I don't think he's good enough to be a batsman in the playing 11. Maybe as an all-rounder, yes, he would be a great asset, but not as a batsman.
Especially the kind of form that he is in with his batting. But okay, should we try 11, Chetan?
Well, first of all, I'll answer the 17 to 15. It's very easy. You drop a batsman and you drop a pace bowler. I think Prasidh Krishna will be left out, and depending on the fitness of Shreyas Iyer and KL Rahul, I think Tilak Varma will be left out. So that brings that 17 down to 15. Sanju Samson, as it is, just a backup at the moment. So that brings your 17 to 15. The playing 11 is a little tougher in that sense because we don't really know the status of KL Rahul, but let's assume that he's fit. Shreyas Iyer, let's assume that he's fit. Then Shubman Gill, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Shreyas Iyer, KL Rahul, Hardik Pandya. That's your top 7. Then Ravindra Jadeja, Kuldeep Yadav, and then the 3 pacers, Bumrah, Shami and Siraj. But I would not want to play all 3 of them. I would want to see Shardul Thakur because you're playing in Sri Lanka. So I would go in with Bumrah and Shami to start with, and probably, Shami and Siraj can be alternated depending on the situation, depending on the surface. So that would be my playing 11.
Okay, I think mine would be the same, but I would play Shardul for sure instead of, but yeah, who will sit out? Maybe Shami would. What about you, Vedam?
Yeah, see, a lot, like I said, depend on the conditions, because if the conditions are ideal for reverse swing, and we know there's a lot of reverse swing happening in the subcontinent, if the conditions are ideal for that, then we need to go for people who really exploit reverse swing well. And yes, Shardul Thakur is one of them. Siraj is another one of Mohammad Shami too, does a lot of good reverse swing. So these are the people that you would really like to use between, maybe over number 30 and over number 50. Having said that, I still would think that Kuldeep Yadav would be your trump card. So he's got to be the playing 11. And Hardik Pandya must be asked to bowl. There's no doubt about it. You need to put in at least about 6 or 7 people in to bowl. And I wouldn't go for any formula because you never know what clicks. Usually what happens is against Pakistan, we don't try to put too many spinners. We try to bring pace against Pakistan, not spin, because they really take the spinners apart. They are hard hitters, they are big hitters, and they take the spinners apart. So we try to put pace against them. So somebody like Prasidh Krishna would be very useful over there against Pakistan. But, you just need to play it by the ear, match after match, and see the conditions. And let's not forget that Pakistan is not the only team in the fray. There is Sri Lanka. They are the Asian Cup champions, and we need to keep an eye on Sri Lanka too.
After all that, Chetan, you were thinking that there was going to be a left-arm pacer, and there isn't one.
Well, I'm not sure whether we should be happy that Unadkat is not there, or unhappy that Arshdeep is not there. So let's leave it for another time. I mean, let's hope this 15 or 17 can win the Asia Cup, and then the trimmed down 15 can win the World Cup. I think they're good enough to reach the semi-finals of the World Cup. This particular squad. this particular squad is also good enough to reach the final of the Asia Cup. And I think for me, the experimentation time is over. At max, maybe the game against Nepal, because you would want to try out Tilak Varma for sure. I mean, if they take Tilak Varma to Sri Lanka and don't give him even a single game, that's just madness.
I don't see that happening though against.
Yeah,
I don't see that happening though against Pakistan. But then who knows? The other thing, also like the other thing that you were saying, the biggest thing in this Asia Cup that we'll all be wanting to see is how KL Rahul and Shreyas Iyer come back. I mean, that's the biggest thing for India's World Cup plans. If they come and start scoring runs straight away, it can't get better than that. And suddenly we'll all start hoping again. Thank you so much, gentlemen, Chetan Narula and Vedam Jaishankar, for joining us here. Well, that's it then on this special. News9 Live is what you need to subscribe to for all the latest from the world of sports. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.
China won't let us rest easy on our borders.